Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Party of One. Today, I was just thinking about the striking differences that had hit me or the striking similarities that had hit me between Bo Burnham's new comedy special, Inside, and Pink Floyd's The Wall, from more specifically the movie based off of The Wall from the 80s. I want to say like 85? I can't remember when the movie came out. But, my apologies. These two stories that are being told here, because for those of you who don't know, The Wall is a Pink Floyd album from 1978, I think, at least. It's a rock opera, meaning that it is a story that is told exclusively through music and obviously later adapted into a movie. I pointed the wrong way. That is where the poster is. I always get confused with OBS shit. Anyway, the biggest similarity that strikes me between these two is that it details in such a raw, realistic way the struggles of a person against themselves. In Bo Burnham's Inside, obviously, it's told very differently. It starts off as like, oh yeah, I've been gone for so long, I should do comedy again, and then ultimately it ends with lockdown happening in 2020, and he just spirals and spirals into depression and thinking about why he should never do comedy again because everything always goes wrong and he's been having panic attacks. And Pink Floyd's The Wall, pointed the wrong way again, is a telling of a rock star named Pink who is detached from his audience and himself, and he is just struggling, and he tries to kill himself multiple times, which is another thing that Bo Burnham references a lot in Inside, is suicide. In fact, at the end of the song 30, he says, it's 2020 and I'm 30, I'll do another 10, 20, 30, I'll be 40 and kill myself then. So that is, to me, the biggest similarity between these two. And why I say it is a modern retelling is because The Wall is, a modern reimagining, I should say. It's not a modern retelling, obviously, because The Wall is a product of its time to a certain degree. The main character, Pink, his struggles are very based off of lead singer Roger Waters, who his father died in World War II, and he grew up in a system of schooling which was very abusive as a product of post-World War II Britain, and his mother was very protective to an almost abusive degree, to an abusive degree as we see depicted in the film. And he becomes a rock star, and he just feels so detached, and he eventually just, becomes a Nazi. He becomes the very thing that killed his father. And so that is why I say that this is more of a modern reimagining, because obviously Bo Burnham can't really relate to growing up in schools in the late 40s to early 50s, because he was born in 1990. So, yeah, that's my take on that. And because I only say this because Bo Burnham's Inside is relevant topically to the time period that it was made in, because it is him dealing with lockdown and how that's taking a toll on him creatively. Another big thing to me is focus on being an entertainer. In Bo Burnham's Inside, he's not portraying a character, he's just himself. He's Bo. And at the beginning of the special, he's talking about everything is fucked right now, everything is going wrong, everything is awful, but I can try to heal the world with comedy. And then by the end of the special, he's like, what the fuck is going on? You're really joking at a time like this. The more I look around, the less I see something to joke about. And he just talks about how lockdown fucked him up really badly in terms of being a performer. And so this relates to The Wall in the sense that Pink is a rock star who becomes, who he gains this huge audience and all of this, and then he becomes detached from that because he starts getting addicted to drugs, and his wife cheats on him, and he tries to kill himself multiple times. There is a scene where he is shown bleeding from the wrists in a pool. He is also shown overdosing in the movie. He overdoses on what is, I mean, it's never explicitly stated, but there is a scene where the doctors have to revive him because he tried to kill himself. So suicide is another really big theme in both of these, but mostly it is the detachment from, or the detachment of an entertainer from their audience or from their purpose. And I think that that is fantastic. I mean, they're both masterpieces. I think Pink Floyd The Wall is, or just The Wall as the album is called, is one of, if not the best album ever made, ever written. And I think that Bo Burnham's Inside is the best comedy special, again, comedy special, ever made. Obviously, go watch both of these things. I should have said that at the beginning. I think it's kind of a dead giveaway because you're not going to fucking get what I'm talking about. If you haven't watched those things. But, I mean, they're both fantastic, you know? I don't want this to turn into a review because I'm supposed to be talking about the similarities between the two. I should have a picture of Inside over here. I don't know why I don't. I, just barely figured out how to put this fucking thing up in OBS. Another thing, like I mentioned earlier, is the struggles, the internal struggles shown of the character. I mean, most of the songs on Bo Burnham's Inside are him coping with his own mental issues, like 30 being about him coping with getting old and wanting to kill himself, and All Eyes on Me being about how he's considering not doing comedy anymore because it's tearing him apart, and then That Funny Feeling being about just the mundane day-to-day shit of lockdown, which then feeds into Any Day Now, which is just the same two lines over and over again. And then we go to The Wall being struggles of Pink trying to cope with his absent father and finding that letter from King George being like, oh, hey, your fucking dad's dead, buddy, which his mom had hid from him at the time, which is actually, fun fact about The Wall, real quick interjection, the song When the Lions Broke Free is in the movie The Wall, but it is not on the album because Roger Waters felt that it was too personal to him. So they instead put it on a different album called The Final Cut. But they did put it in the movie, which it's very appropriate for the movie. I think they should have put it on the album for The Wall, but, you know, personal thing. I respect it. Anyway, back to my point. Pink is obviously coping with his lack of a father and his overprotective mother in the face of his father dying, and the aftermath of the war, and the effect that that had on the abusive school system. I mean, there are like 4 songs about that in a row on The Wall. Let's see. No, it's just 2. It's Happiest Day of Our Lives and Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 that are about that. I was counting Another Brick in the Wall Part 1, but that's about his dad dying. Well, about his dad, like, disappearing, essentially, as he had viewed it at the time. And then there's him growing up, getting married, being a rock star, having his wife cheat on him because he's absent all the time. Then that only makes things worse, and he tries to kill himself repeatedly. And then he becomes a Nazi, which is mostly metaphorical. And then him just there is a song at the end of The Wall called The Trial, and he is being put on trial for showing feelings of an almost human nature. And then, of course, all of the figures from his life are called upon, like the schoolmaster, his wife, his mother. I did that really weirdly on OBS. That did not translate to what I was doing with my hands. But, yeah, so those are the similarities there. Honestly, if you think about it, these two pieces of art are almost identical. If you listen to, well, not almost identical, but like in terms of structure and how they're done, there is a lot of reflection between the two. I mean, the opening song content can very easily be compared to In the Flesh at the start of both albums. If you listen to Inside as an album and then listen to The Wall as an album, the similarities between the two are insane. They follow an almost identical parallel in terms of format. Like, content, which is In the Flesh, leads into, like, White Woman's Instagram, which could debatably be viewed as, like, Goodbye Blue Sky to a certain degree. Just because of the mediary sense of both of them and the setup for the downfall that's going to occur. And then, like, Shit could be compared to Another Brick in the Wall Part 3, where Bo is like, oh yeah, I feel like shit all the time. And in Another Brick in the Wall Part 3, Pink is like, I feel like shit all the time, I give up. And then he becomes a neo-Nazi, which obviously Bo does not do in Inside, but... And then, of course, the trial could be sort of seen as what's the song called? All Eyes on Me, as it's sort of like the big confrontational song at the end of both albums. Except there is one major difference between these two, and that is, in The Wall, there is a semblance of a resolution at the end. It is implied at the end of the trial, Pink, quote-unquote, tears down the wall because he's so sick of being isolated all the time. And the last song on The Wall is called Outside the Wall, implying that he has recovered or that he is better to some degree. You don't get that with Inside. The end of Inside is All Eyes on Me, and then Any Day Now, which is just the line, it'll stop any day now, over and over and over again. There is no resolution. There is no calm at the end, which is pretty reflective of what Inside is supposed to be, and I think that that's good. And then, of course, the movie for The Wall ends with the wall exploding, essentially, after the trial. After, I think it's like a minute long, the shot of just the wall before it blows up. And with oh wait, no, it's not Any Day Now into, or no, it's not All Eyes on Me into Any Day Now. It's All Eyes on Me into Goodbye into Any Day Now, which Goodbye ends with the line, well, well, look who's inside again, went out to look for a reason to hide again, well, well, buddy, you found it, now come out with your hands up, we have you surrounded, and then a shot of Bo being outside of a house, and then pulling on the door, but it won't open, and he is just desperately struggling to get back inside, and then it's a hard cut to Any Day Now, which is the credits, and then the final shot of, I think it's called wannatalkaboutit.com, which is essentially a suicide hotline resource. So there is no resolution there. That is the biggest difference between these two pieces of media. And yeah, that's essentially all I wanted to talk about. I think that it struck me as very weird how similar these two are. I don't think it was done intentionally, but I mean, it almost definitely wasn't. But I just thought that it was kind of weird how similar these two are when you really break it down. That's going to be all. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. That's going to be all for today. So, yeah.